It's martini time again. You know, I didn't know what I was going to talk about. And so I think, well, and I've had several things that I've been writing about today, and I just couldn't land on one thing. So it has to be, when I come to talk with you in the evening with my martini, it has to be just something spontaneous that I want to talk to you about, to share with you. That's what it's all about. Sharing, the fun and the joy of life. And so I got a phone call or friend, and he said, "Are you okay? Should I take you to the hospital? Are you all right? I heard you have an eating disorder. You're throwing up." What in the hell's going on? So come to find out, he said, "Oh, well, I saw it on your computer." And what? And then I remembered. Oh. And then I about fell on the floor laughing. And by the way, this is on the floor. I'm going to pick it up. So I came up with what I wrote today, and this, as you know, I mean, if you follow me on Facebook, I'm writing all day. I get up in the morning and I start putting together I pick up a few ideas for my morning Zen Live, and then I write about that, and then I roam around my friends on Facebook, and I just write stuff. And so a friend of mine out in Las Vegas had sent a picture of himself taking a picture of himself reflected in a mirror, and so I wrote something on that about the mirror and the reflection, And he said, "Boy, that was a mouthful." And so I wrote back, "I wake up running with my mouth full and spend half the day spitting it out or throwing it up on Facebook. Then I take a nap, have a martini, and throw up again." Sounds like a diseating order to me. So my friend read that out of context and was worried that I had an idiot was throwing up, you see. I love him. So anyway, this the danger of taking things out of context. Context gives meaning. I've been talking about that a lot. So the thing I wrote next on this, since I write reading what I wrote, because this is an interesting, I look at myself and say, what the hell's going on? Here I am, 80 years old, and I'm throwing up stuff's coming out, like got a faucet that can't turn off. I have to call a plumber to turn it off. So I wrote. I like to think that what is thrown up is the ambrosia of whales. And if you know about ambrosia, whale vomit becomes ambrosia. This is very precious stuff. I think they make perfume out of it. I like to think what is thrown up is the ambrosia of whales. From the deep they rise to lay their treasure on the beach. I can say this because I make no claim to what I throw up, since I'm not a whale. And then the next thing I wrote on this, because I had a little flow going, you see. So I wrote, what is my wellspring? From where does my fullness come? I meditate in the early morning for an hour, and it is to this deep hole of not knowing that into this deep hole of not knowing that I surrender. Nothing happens there to speak of in meditation, no experience in which to dwell and share, but it is the absolute surrender, without the slightest gaining idea, to this emptiness that fills my cup during the day. So you get the idea. Now, most people don't. I was just reading on Quora. I answer questions on Quora once in a while, and one of the questions was, and I haven't answered it, so I'll answer it right now. Just why isn't meditation helping me? Why am I not getting well or getting experience or whatever he wants out of it, And that's the big problem with meditation. It's the Failure to understand, and it's understandable why we don't understand it, but it's the failure to understand what meditation is. And it's just as I described. It's a surrender to not doing. Because meditation is the absolute not doing. Your body's not doing anything. You're not doing any work. There's no purpose in it. And you don't even let your mind do something. The whole project, the process of meditation is just resting your breath, your attention on your breath, and letting your mind go on and move on and not pay attention to it and not run with it, you see. So it's a process of being disengaged from thinking. And thinking is all about time. And thinking is all about how much time you got. You see, here's the past, here's the future. This was my uncle's. He found it in some flea market, you see. And so thinking is all about time. Thinking is time. When you're not thinking, there's no time. You try it out. I mean, we all have that experience. And when you're really involved in something, is there time? As soon as you start thinking about what you're doing, there's time. But when you're totally involved, lost in doing, in the moment, maybe dancing, cooking, eating, sex, whatever you're doing, if you're really doing it 100%, you are sure not thinking about it. As soon as you start thinking, how long is this going on? When is it going to end? Oh no, it's about ready to go. We're back here, you see. Past running into future. See this right here? That's the present moment. That's meditation. Right there. It's kind of like zero. It's kind of like this were negative and that's positive. Down, up, all the pairs of opposites. Right there, that's zero. That's Zen right there. Nothing. So meditation is that. So when you decide to meditate, what you're really doing is learning how to sit right there, you see, in the space between past and future. They talk about, the space between thoughts. Well, there's no space between thoughts in the sense that you can get out a ruler and maybe, well, how big is the space between thoughts, you see? That's thinking. So, I've never really understood this thing before, but I really do right now because I just understood it when I told you about it. That point, that zero right there, is the cosmos. The cosmos. And this cosmology will tell you this, that everything in the cosmos comes to some zero. If you added up all of the mass and all of the anti-mass, it comes to zero. Some zero. Everything comes to this. Everything comes to zero. Everything comes to balance because the universe is in balance. If it wasn't in balance, the universe would be out of alignment and it would go wobble, wobble, wobble and explode. So the universe is in balance. It's zero. And if you add, here's zero. Let me get back to this. Here's zero. So if this is, so if whatever you, well, maybe, let me get the point. If you think about zero in mathematics, you got zero, and you got positive numbers to infinity, and then you got negative numbers to infinity. You see, zero. The universe, everything returns to zero. So if you add 20 positive numbers, you're going to be, the teeter-totter is going to go like that. The universe is going to add 20 negative numbers to bring it back to zero. You get the idea? The universe is like a teeter-totter. It's always going to be here. Now, us poor humans, you see, we say, wait a minute, I'm out of alignment. I got to fix this thing. We're out of tilt here. I got to fix it. I got to be a savior. I got to fix it. I got to control it. I got to bring it back to zero. We got to bring justice. We got to have justice and bring it back to zero. I've been watching these Midsummer Mysteries, and we're in season 19, and my wife just looked it up. She said, this is the longest running British mystery series, it's on Netflix, in history. People love it. And it's all about coming back to zero. It's all about, and the British are really great with this because they've got so much history, they've got so much time, and all these family grievances, that run on for centuries, Granddaddy did something 500 years ago, and the families are still trying to what? Come to zero. They're still trying to bring balance. The one I just watched was this guy killed 2 people because he was rejected, or he was adopted and abandoned, and he had so much pain, and he wanted to go back and hurt the parents that abandoned him, so to balance out the pain. So I want you to have the same pain I had, and I'm going to do it by killing your son, and so forth, yada, yada, yada. But the whole idea is zero. The whole idea is that crimes are to bring zero back. People do things to restore justice by balancing the pain. You see, I got all this pain and I can't balance it and get rid of it unless I give you an equal amount of pain. Of course, it doesn't help that way. Well, that's what people do. But the idea behind it is zero. We're all trying to get to zero. Zero when everything is in unity, harmony, peace, the circle. That's why circles are healing. People get in circles. Hold hands in circles. Dance around something. The circle, dance around the maypole, dance around. All the primitive religions have circle dances. Look at Globetrotter on PBS, you see. Globetrotter begins with somebody drawing a circle in the sand. Yeah, all the mystery religions, all the magic, they draw a circle. You're protected inside the circle. The circle is zero. And the circle means the universe is always at zero. Ground zero, you see? And so it's always, the teeter-totter is always out of balance, and so we're always trying to, through effort, you see, bring the teeter-totter back to zero, with the idea that if it comes to zero, everything will be in balance, and I will be at rest, and I will be complete. So the idea in human endeavor that creates history is the yearning for completeness and zero. Because we know zero is there because we are the cosmos, and the cosmos is at zero. It's always creating itself at zero. It's not, the cosmos is not trying to get to zero, because that would mean that the cosmos is out of balance. And if the cosmos were out, take any machine, and if something gets out of balance, it goes, whoa, 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 pew, it explodes, you see. I used to have old cars, and you're always throwing a rod. Nobody does that anymore. Cars don't do that anymore, but I lost 2 or 3 cars. The oil gets a little bit low, boom, you throw a rod. Bam! It's a big thing. So, but the idea is that something gets out of balance. If a machine gets out of balance, boom, it explode. Zorba the Greek is all about that. If you ever remember that, it's my favorite movie. But they had to get the wood lumber down from the top of a mountain to shore up a mine, so they could get the village, they could get the town back in working in the mine, and get the whole town and the island in balance again, and restore its prosperity. So they came up with this contraption, Zorba did, to slide the logs down the mountain. And the village came out there, and the priests were blessing it, and they were all having champagne to watch these logs come down so they could shore up the mine and get the village going again. And it was out of balance. It began to, one log fell off, and the next one got wow, wow, wow. And then the next one came, and wow, 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 wow. And the next one came, and the whole thing collapsed, and everybody ran for life. And there was Zorba and his intellectual Englishmen on the beach looking at the catastrophe. And Zorba and the Englishman said, "Teach me to dance. Teach me to dance." And they laughed. It was such a great catastrophe. We lost everything. Everything is gone. We're back to zero. We're back to zero. And they danced. So 0 is where the dance is. 0 is where the laughter is. 0 is where the humor is. 0 is where life is. So how do you get to 0? Well, meditation is getting to 0. You sit in 0. You sit in without expecting or wanting any positive thing, because that's going to tip the teeter-totter, you see, and then that's going to create, the world's going to add some negatives. See, here's what happens. So we think we're out of balance, so I got to add some positives. I got to create this big project. Now, there's nothing wrong with doing projects. I'm just saying I feel out of balance. I feel something, so I'm going to create this big thing. And I'm going to work at it, and I'm going to really put effort in it, and I'm going to create it. But then I got obstacles. And then maybe I disturb the neighbors, and the neighbors get mad at me. And I got all these obstacles. Where are they coming from? Why can't I just do this, you see? Well, the obstacles are the negative that's coming on to the teeter-totter to bring balance. Because I was out of balance at the beginning, and I added weights to bring balance back, you see. If I add weights to bring the scale back to 0, but I'm adding weights because I feel like I'm out of balance, I don't have 0, I'm affirming my imbalance, you see. If I'm affirming my imbalance, and I got to get balance by adding weights, you see, to level out the teeter-totter, the universe is going to restore balance by adding negative weights. Now, where do those negatives, how do I experience the negative weights? I experience them as coming at me. My neighbor's against me. He's the negative weight. So all the people that are against me, all the circumstances that defeat me, all of the obstacles that bury me, or the negatives of what that brings balance back. It's all bringing me back to 0. But I'm bringing me back to balance, you see. And because I have, and this is where I don't mean don't do anything, you see. What I'm saying is that if you start from feeling incomplete, what you do in time to become complete is always going to be defeated, because you're not starting from balance. So what you do is out of balance, and you're going to end up being out of balance because balance is not in time. You see what I mean? So if I got to get balance, you see. I got to get this balance with this, you see. So this is the future. So I want to get balanced in the future. But balance is now. You're already balanced. You see? So until we realize that we're already in balance, that the cosmos, and I'm the cosmos and cosmos is you, is already at 0, nothing we do is going to bring balance, because everything we do is out of balance, trying to get balance in time. Balance is not in time. You can't balance in time, you balance now. You can't ride a bicycle in time and balance tomorrow. You get on the bike and say, I'll get balanced on this thing tomorrow. No, you got to get balanced now. If you want to quit smoking, you don't quit tomorrow, you quit now. It's always now when you quit smoking. You can never quit tomorrow. You can't quit in time, you have to quit now. You have to balance now, you see. There is no, now is timeless. This is timeless. Meditation is timeless. Meditation is a whole. And you realizing that you want to, when your heart awakens and you realize that you want to restore balance, you want to be balanced, no matter what the mind does, I want to be balanced. I want to find 0. So you sit. And you say, I'm going to sit for 20 minutes every morning, no matter what. No matter whether I don't experience anything for 20 years, my whole lifetime, I don't care. See, I'm going to sit in 0, no matter what. And so, that's meditation. That's sitting right here, for no reason at all. And it's then that the fruit of meditation, that's when the wellspring opens. That's when the faucet of creativity comes out. That's when you start throwing up. That's when you become a whale and the ambrosia pours out, you see. But you're not the whale. As soon as you say, I'm a whale, look at me, whoop, you're back in time. You're off your seat, you know. So to stay seated in zero is awakening. To stay seated in zero, to stay seated in meditation, you just become an empty vessel. And life pours through you. And it's great. It's a big laugh, you see. Thanks for dropping in and sharing this with me.